WTF Nation Radio. WTF Nation Radio. The voice of U.S. Army, WTF Moments. This is WTF Nation Radio.
Everything stated on WTF Nation Radio is to be considered the opinion of the person that stated it, and not an official representation of WTF Nation Radio or U.S. Army WTF Moments.
Price does not include tax, title, or license. Some assembly required. Each item sold separately. Batteries not included. Objects in mirror are closer than they appear. If conditions persist, contact a physician. Individual results may vary. Keep out of the reach of children. Avoid prolonged exposure to direct sunlight. Keep in a cool, dark place. And
please enjoy the show. Shots.
Amerika. Total German. Amerika. here they come.
This is WTF Nation Radio.
All right, everybody. Fasten your seatbelts. Here we go. It's time for another Friday Night Freedom here on WTF Nation Radio. My name is Kaz, and today is Friday, the 22nd day of January, 2021, and up over my my shoulder there is Pookie. How you doing, man?
Hey. Same old. How about you, man?
Oh, man, I'm doing good. I'm good. I had a really it was a hard week, man. I've been doing 14-hour days, and then I had I had to go, I got a doc appointment, a VA doc appointment on Friday, so I had to do the blood work they want you to do. And you never really know, as far as labs go, I never get an appointment for the lab. It's a walk-in thing. So
yeah, that's the way they usually do it, man.
I
walk in and do this, get this taken care of, it's just a pain in the butt sometimes.
I got to take time out of my day, and I don't get paid if I'm not at work, so I front-loaded my week with a bunch of extra hours, so I had a couple of hours to. I expected it to be, with the COVID stuff going on, I expected it to be, long waits or just some kind of really crazy, scanning people to get into the VA. But surprisingly, I did go on the internet just to see, okay, maybe their hours changed, and they said their lab was open up from 8 o'clock till 4:30. So I was like, no problem, so I got to sleep in that morning, which was really kind of cool. That doesn't happen during the week for me. And I didn't eat breakfast because, it's got to be a fasting deal. And
I hate those.
And I didn't go to the bathroom because sometimes they want to do urine, sometimes they don't. And so I showed up there, and they printed off this big list of, samples they wanted to take, and none of which was urine. So I really had to go to the bathroom at the end of that.
He lucked out then.
But I was ready. I could have taken a piss test for everybody in that waiting room. But
I just love it when they don't tell you, and then you're like, oh, you wake up in the morning, you just don't think about it, and you just do your normal morning ritual, and then you show up and they're like, yeah, you got to pee in a cup, and they're like, why didn't you tell me this?
Exactly.
Why didn't you tell me this?
That does happen. Hey, before I get into everything, I did want to take a couple of moments and tell you about Hank Aaron. Henry Louis Aaron, born February 5th, 1934, passed away January 22nd, today of 2021. His nickname was the Hammer, or Hammer and Hank. He was an American professional baseball right fielder who played 23 seasons in Major League Baseball between 1954 and 1976. He spent 21 seasons with the Atlanta Braves in the National League, and then 2 seasons with the Milwaukee Brewers in the American League. Hank Aaron is regarded as one of the greatest baseball players of all time. He has 755 career home runs, which broke the long-standing career record of Babe Ruth, stood as the MLB record for 33 years. He still holds many other offensive MLB records. He hit 24 or more home runs every year from 1955 through 1973. And he is one of only 2 players to hit 30 or more home runs in the season at least 15 times. In 1999, the Sporting News ranked Aaron 5th on its lists of its top 100 greatest baseball players. In 1982, he was inducted into the National Baseball Hall of Fame in his first year of eligibility. He was from everything that I've ever read about him, he was a hell of a guy. And sad to see him go. One of the greats right there. So I got a singular fun trivia thing that I learned about Hank Aaron.
What would be this?
He's been a long time fan of the Cleveland Browns, and he attended many of the Cleveland Browns games in disguise in the dog pound. In the dog pound seating, in the seating section. Yeah.
Really? No, I would have never known that. No.
That's pretty cool, man. That's really kind of cool.
He should have been a Steelers fan, but we all can't be perfect.
Oh, geez. So Hank Aaron died in his sleep today, January 22nd, at the age of 86, 2 weeks shy of his 87th birthday in Atlanta, Georgia. So rest in peace, Mr. Hank. But, when he died, Twitter kind of blew up, and they said like January 6th or something, he took the Rona vaccine. So they're trying to make this stupid connection of he got the Rona vaccine, so he died. I'm like, dude, he's 86 years old, so he died.
Let's stop trying to connect things that just don't connect at this point.
Right.
People sound ridiculous nowadays.
Oh, I know. It's
I mean, I'm a conspiracy theorist, but you guys are taking it a little too far.
When
right?
the conspiracy theorist says, dudes, chill, then it's time to chill. Okay, so I closed the wrong window. Right when we were starting, I closed, X'd out of our broadcast medium, which is fine because we're still doing good. I'm just wondering if I can relaunch that, because I can't pay, because it has. We were talking about that pop out chat where I can talk to people that are on YouTube.
Yeah.
I don't have that ability right now because dumbass me closed it.
I can see things.
So I'm going to try to get that I don't even know if I can relaunch that. Pop out chat. Wonder if I can do that. Well. Says it's working. Let me test something here.
Please stand by while we fight the gremlins. The gremlins always attack on Friday.
It worked. I'm back.
There you go.
There we go. Anyway, welcome everybody to Friday Night Freedom. Like I said earlier, my name is Kaz, and that up there is Pookie and all his sexy beardedness. So it's been kind of a busy week. I was kind of teasing it a little bit, with our Warhol. He's like, "Hey, what are you going to talk about?" He asks me every Friday, "What are we going to talk about?" And either I know exactly what we're going to talk about, and it's just really hard to summarize, which is what happened today. So I just said, "Slow news week."
A slow news week. You can say a slow news week,
right?
You can say that. How about Bernie Sanders there?
Oh my gosh, Bernie! Should I play it now?
I mean, why not?
Okay, here we go. Joe Biden. If you guys haven't heard, Joe Biden won the election, and he was all he did the inauguration on Wednesday, and so Joe Biden wins the election, but. Bernie Sanders won the internet. There is, and these are all pictures that I got a hold of, and this is last night. And there's probably 40 different pictures in there. And if you look today, there's hundreds. It's
not thousands.
I know. And it's great, dude. It's just, maybe this is better than winning the presidency, man. Biden is everywhere. Or not Biden, Bernie Sanders. These are so funny. Some of them are extremely well thought out. I put a couple on my cause page of Demi Moore with the pottery in front of her, and then you see these
that one had me dying.
And then you see the mittens coming out. I thought that one was the best, and then I saw the guy with the guy who walks up. I forget what show it's from, but he pops out that lawn chair, bam, and sets it down.
Oh yeah.
Well, he pops out this lawn chair, and it's Bernie Sanders in the chair. I really wish.
I've seen the one with the Beetlejuice one that you just showed a couple seconds ago, but he was sitting in the middle. I mean, I've seen different variations of all these.
They're just so good.
The Lord of the Rings one was hilarious.
There's a couple of them in there that I didn't understand. I'm like, I don't get this one. And some of them were like video game related. And I'm not a gamer, so I didn't know. There's Bernie right there sitting alone in the mall. Poor Bernie. That kind of looks like a Ridgemar Mall here in Fort Worth.
Yeah, I seen a couple of them like local ones. I think it was the Department of Arizona Transportation
One of our listeners has been posting that because they're going crazy with that stuff.
Like I'm sitting here waiting for you all to make sure you pack your like a winter emergency kit. You know?
I've got one of those. I think I've got one of those here. It's like, well, if you're going to go up into, it was one of those safety things. If you're going to go up into the mountains, make sure you bring, chains and, the shovels and warm clothes and a jacket and all these other things. So.
It's just. Just the look on his face, though.
And it was absolutely, when it first came out, they were so right. They're like, it was like, this guy doesn't want to be here. Or he's like, when you have an inauguration at 12, but you got to stop by the post office at 1.
Pick up dry cleaning at like 3. Looks like Green Bay fans. Oh, damn. Who's the Green Bay fans here?
Green Bay, well, Green Bay's my fallback. My fallback team. Because I live in north central Texas, I do like the Dallas Cowboys. I've been a Dallas Cowboy fan since I was a kid. And Green Bay's my fallback.
No, I like I said, where I was born and raised, you have to be a Steelers fan or you get shunned. You get shunned.
But I guess, you couldn't be a Philadelphia fan. That would be dangerous.
No. I'm a Yinzer, is what they call it. Like the central Pennsylvania, Pittsburgh area. That we have a certain way. Like everyone says like y'all or Yins or just you people
Ewans.
Or whatever.
Yeah,
Ewans. But we're Yinzers, like Yins. We have a special like Pittsburgh area, Pennsylvania area. As you grow up, there's like there's certain words for everything that I could say some things sometimes, and people look at me like, "What?" It's just old habits from where I grew up. The Last Supper was hilarious.
Oh yeah, The Last Supper is really, really good because he was probably old enough to be there. He probably had something going on.
I didn't see where they had him sitting though. That's
there's one out there. It's a Where's Waldo, and it's so good because you actually have to look at it and you have to find Sanders. It's really, really good. I forget. I don't even know. I can't remember if I put it in here or not. Anyway, well, I guess we'll get on with what we're gonna be talking about.
Sure, I'm pretty sure if you don't understand the meme, I had a couple people hit me up on Facebook talking about like, hey, what is this with Bernie Sanders going on all of a sudden? I don't understand it. And I was like, you obviously didn't watch the inauguration, but that's how he showed up to the inauguration, and he became a meme overnight. So I mean, that's the gist of it. And if you don't understand this,
I was posting when the Twisted Tea thing happened. I posted that, and my daughter texted me, and she's like, "Dad, please explain what this is." So I gave her. I sent her the news story. I sent her the original video, and then I sent her the Twisted Tea variations, and then she got it. Wayne's World. That's one of my favorites. There, I like Wayne's World. So anyway, Joe Biden did win the election. He was inaugurated our 46th president. Is that correct? 46th.
46.
Number 46. So he's number 46. Wasn't my choice. He's not my guy. I don't wish any ill will. I don't think he's going to do a very good job, but I'm going to support the guy. When he makes a good decision or makes a good call, I'll support him 100%. I'm not impressed so far. He's getting kind of a weird start. I don't really like some of the things that he's doing. The Keystone Pipeline was a big one. He's like, yeah, we're going to bring back jobs, and then
for this end jobs.
And then he just ended 11,000 jobs.
It's already talking about ending fracking. There was a side-by-side news article. I think it was Washington Post said, no, he's not going to end fracking. He's not going to do that. That's something Trump's making up. And then like a couple days ago, he said, yeah, I'm going after fracking. It's just, well, I mean, okay, cool. I mean,
he even said he wasn't going to go after fracking after he said he was going to go after fracking. It all depended on what kind of an audience he was talking in front of. But he put a moratorium on drilling for gas and oil. And now I don't know if that's just on federal lands, or if that's just everywhere.
I don't. To me, it's insanity because we don't have. Everyone wants this green infrastructure that it's non-existent right now. If it was existent and it was like making up maybe like 70% of the our power infrastructure, yeah, we're going to try to move a little bit further away from fossil fuels. That makes sense to me, but nah, like you're destroying jobs, you're destroying livelihood. Like I posted a picture up on Facebook that day of his inauguration of what the gas prices in my local area were, and
I saw a lot of that. I did see a lot of that.
I mean, it's for like future notes, you try to blame, like it seems like every time we get a new president, everyone wants to blame the last president for things. But I think with all these executive orders coming down, I think Biden really did shoot himself in the foot real quick with that, because he's like, I'm undoing all this crap.
Right.
So when he says, well, I'm going to blame Trump he can't do that now because, I did this.
He undid a lot of what Trump did his first day in office. And there's a lot. There's a huge list. Look at that stack of stuff on his desk that he's signing. I mean, it's just
some of the orders I read, they make sense to me.
Mm-hmm.
I'm centralist kind of. I don't like to follow the party lines. I'm not a party guy. I don't believe in the party system. But free think people. It's not that hard. Think for yourselves. Base people off of their qualifications. Not like, oh, this man's bad, let's get someone else in here because the media told me this guy's bad, so we got to get someone else, regardless of who they are. The lesser of two evils kind of thing. Right. But some of the policies, I can probably sit there and I agree with. But coming in there and just axing energy, like the United States there for the first time in a long time has become
energy independent.
We became independent for a long time, and now we're just let's go back to the way we were, relying on someone else. Let's give the power back to these OPECs and Russia. Russia. I think what was it? Saudi Arabia and Russia are the two biggest oil producers in the world. Well, we were, but I don't think that's going to happen much here soon. But it's you destroy jobs. Energy drives economy. I try to explain that to people. You want to be, trust me, global climate change or whatever it is, that's bad. We need to fix that. But you can't just cut your foot off and be like, hey, we fixed it.
Yeah, I think you don't want to do too much too soon. I think we need to develop the technology, or put some incentive to develop the technology, and not like a Solyndra or any of those fly-by-night companies that just kind of collected a bunch of government grants and then failed to produce anything.
I don't think government. Okay, I'm all about innovation and the market as the libertarian kind of. Like I said earlier, I'm not a party guy, but the libertarian part, I'm more lean towards libertarian, but the market will provide. So if the government restricts things and puts regulations on things, you're kind of destroying the possibility of innovation. And I think me and you were talking about Elon Musk coming out and saying, hey, I'm going to offer $100 million for someone who can figure out a carbon scrubbing, carbon capture system. And you've got like company, like news agencies right now. Let me look at it right now. I saw one headline that made my head pop a little bit, but it's like Elon Musk to donate a sliver of his net worth to carbon capture. I was like, that's $100 million. Dude wants to give me $100 million. I'll find a way to, make some carbon disappear. The government does it all the time. But I digress with this rant.
I don't know, man. It's like, I wish the government would stick with what it does best, and that's national defense. Take care, make sure you protect the country. Let people do their thing. Let innovators innovate. Let us do stuff. I don't think it needs to be so heavy-handed and almost stifling as far as growth goes.
That's a little bureaucracy doesn't fix anything.
One thing I saw is like, our economic growth in the last quarter was 33%. You can't really tout that. I mean, normal growth without Corona, you're looking at 6 to 10% growth. And, you can't really tout, honestly, you can't tout 33% growth. While the economy grew at 33%, it also was down a whole bunch because of all the the forced shutdowns because of the Rona.
Government bureaucracy.
Right. So there's a couple of executive orders. Actually, there's a lot, but Joe Biden signed 2 more executive orders today, just today. One focused on expanding food assistance and delivering stimulus checks to every low-income American, and the other on raising the minimum wage to $15 for the federal workforce.
That was the federal employees get a $15 minimum wage increase pretty much.
Right. I don't know. I don't know. I do work for the government. I'm not GS or anything like that. I don't know what their pay structure is. I don't know what the GS stuff starts out at. I know it's not chump change. But anyway,
you don't want to even get me started on minimum wage. I could go over like 3 hours.
Really, I don't think there ought to be a minimum wage. I think anybody who works ought to get paid what they're worth.
Zero federal. I mean, if states want to do that, that's fine. You want to talk about the Constitution. There's the 10th Amendment. The states can decide shit, which they should. But for the federal government to come down and say, hey, I'm going to put this $15, an hour, it'll destroy poor America is what it'll do. And that's
it's like you're working at a pawn shop, so your minimum wage has to be $15. A lot of states have implemented the $15 minimum wage, or they're doing like a graduated. They might be at $8 or $10 right now, but over the next 5 or 7 years, they're going to be at $15 an hour. You can't just say automatically, boom. You have to go from paying, because here in Texas it's like $7.25, something like that. It's like it's not a lot.
That's federal right now.
It's whatever the federal minimum is what Texas is right now. But my like if my daughter was here, she was working at Costco. She moved back up to Montana and went to work for Costco, and they were paying her like $17 or $18 an hour just working in the bakery. But I can't see a mom and pop shop mandating $15 an hour for all the employees. You stand behind a cash register and take orders, or you check people out of a store. I mean, there's so many jobs out there. I don't want to say
It's like the agricultural business would take a big hit too. I hate to say it, but people don't want to talk about that. Is they hire a lot of like summer seasonal labor, and if they have to pay just chucking hay bales, the minimum wage is a lot for them. I mean, $5 an hour for chucking hay bales, it's not a skilled job, it's just a physical job.
Yeah, it's very physical. So my daughter was working at Costco, and she was $17-18 an hour there, and then she also worked for the Department of Agriculture. She was a potato inspector, and she was making $15 an hour doing that.
$15 an hour inspecting potatoes. That's legit.
It's I guess. Yeah. I mean, she had her Carhartts on and out there just, sampling potatoes, taking little core samples of potatoes. And I'm like, one of these days we're going to have to sit down there and have to tell me exactly what a potato inspector does. Cause it's
it's like, that's one of the things I'd like to see on like Dirty Jobs or something. Explain this to me, please.
Yeah, she drive.
There was potato inspectors.
Well, first I didn't know that there was a bunch of potato farming up in Montana. Because I guess
no, that actually makes sense, because you like Montana, Idaho kind of thing going on there. Yeah. It's good soil to grow potatoes. It's a good, I guess, climate latitude line for potato growth.
So Rachel,
it makes sense to me.
Rachel Waters in the chat says it's going to kill full-time employees. Companies will hire all part-time, so no one will get benefits.
Exactly.
And what I was thinking is maybe they would just go with contract employees.
Well, they could do that too, like what Uber did. Uber was, I don't know if you knew.
Everybody's an independent contractor?
Everyone is an independent contractor. Therefore, they're responsible for filing their own taxes, dealing with everything. So it eliminates them from, having to pay the Social Security mandate, a whole bunch of things, healthcare. You're responsible for all that on your own. And
that makes tax filing season really difficult.
Ooh.
Not really. I mean, your Social Security is 6.5% of your income.
Yeah, but well, if you're, I don't know how it works if you're an independent contractor, how you'd file that, because I know the employee.
Well, it would seem to me you would have a lot of write-offs if you're an independent contractor, because you write off your vehicle maintenance, just Uber for instance. Anything that goes into your car, fuel, maintenance, wash, whatever, little the few times that I've taken Uber, the Uber dude had a bunch of Uber snacks and bottles of water, and everything was cold, and he did a really, I mean, all the Ubers I've taken have really been really legit.
Yeah, I mean, I Uber a lot because me, I don't drive.
Right.
So I mean, when I need to get somewhere, I Uber, and like it's day and night. Some are just like, you get in her car, like, what is this? This is the family car. Okay, fine. I understand you're trying to make a living. And it's some you get in, they have that Uber specific car. Hey, I'm driving. You get in there and like, hey, dude, you thirsty? You want water? You want this? You want that? And I was like, yeah.
Customer service.
Entrepreneur. And you know what is, like, I can add those people as my favorites, and I can request them at that point. And so competition, free market,
Yeah, it was actually cheaper for me to take an Uber from the Dallas-Fort Worth airport to my house, and we're looking at, that was probably 35 miles, 40 miles, and it was like a $60 bill for that, and it really wasn't
$2 a mile.
It wasn't that bad, because if I was going to take, and the only reason I took the Uber is that we have this blue van that was at DFW Airport, where that you get into it was like a ride share thing, and it was like, it was probably $40 or $50 for them to pick you up and drop you off. You pay for one ticket, and that covers a pickup and a drop off. They'll pick you up from your house, take you to the airport, to your gate, and then pick you up and then take you back to your house. And that was like $50 or $60. But they, while I was on my trip, they went out of business. They're like, we're no longer going to be doing business at the Dallas-Fort Worth Metropolitan Airport. I was like, well, crap. I'm not going to walk home. So anyway, back to Mr. Biden here. President Biden. The measures build on Biden's drive to aid struggling families with an additional $1.9 trillion with a T relief plan that he outlined last week. Rather than the $2,000 checks that he promised if elected, Biden's plan would send another $1,400 in additional stimulus checks, extend unemployment benefits and nutrition assistance, and provide more help to renters and homeowners in need. This more ambitious proposal would have to go through Congress. What he did today is simply assign a placeholder for this legislation. So there's been, a lot of my guys at work are like, oh my gosh, we're getting another $1,400. I'm like, hold on a second. He just put placeholders in there so these things can be taken care of. President Biden is expected to sign additional orders in the coming days, according to the calendar documents sent to administration allies. His agenda next week includes steps to beef up requirements for the government to purchase goods and services from U.S. companies, and to push to eliminate private prisons. Eliminating privately run prisons, and he was big on that as far as prisons.
I was about to say that is the hypocrisy.
Prisons for profit, though. It's prisons for profit.
Yes, but he was all about crime bills and this and that.
Oh, I know, and so was Harris.
One of the ones big supporting the prisons for profit. I think, if I'm correct on this, back in 94, he was like part of that crime bill. Him and the vice president Kamala Harris. She was enforcing it like crazy, and he was the one who came up with the idea for it.
And these private prisons were making money because they had prisoners. They were denying parole for people just to keep them in prison, because that's how they get paid. That's how
the private prison system is nuts. Like, they would write citations for people like, your hair is wrong. Here's a citation. Get another 30 days. And they would try to keep themselves maxed at like 100%, because that's, maximum profit at that point.
Yeah.
That whole system is nuts. Like I had a friend of mine who was a CO at a private prison, and not private. It was privately ran jail, county jail. It was
Right.
the county contracted out, but it was nuts.
Gotcha.
The amount of money he was making, though, however, was decent. He was making like $27 an hour. For a CO, that's insane. Like even my mom was like, "What? Like I should have been working there this whole time." But no, it was like some of the citations that they would hand down to some of these like I guess inmates or detainees or whatever you want to call them. It was just, he said it was just the most ridiculous thing he ever seen.
Like the reasons why they were incarcerated was because of stupid reason.
Stupid reasons, like, oh, you're a day behind child support. Oh, boom, 100 days in jail, or and
100 days in jail, so
then,
you're not making any money. You can't pay anything, and now you're going to be 100 days behind. That doesn't make any sense.
Well, we are talking about Virginia here. Virginia's nuts. I tell anyone, if they're driving up the East Coast, detour the entire state of Virginia, because it's worth it. You'll save yourself money by doing that.
My ex-in-laws wanted to be near family. Actually, my ex-mother-in-law wanted to be near her sister and their families. So they sold their house. They had a big-ass house in Montana, moved to Virginia, lived there for a couple of years, and they're just like, no. They sold their house, and they built another house up in Montana, and they moved back.
Yeah.
They ran away very quickly.
Crazy part about it is I used to hear people tell me all the time that the taxes in Montana were crazy.
No, they're not bad. But it's really not bad.
You know me, I lived in Virginia for a long time.
Oh, so everything's probably, California's probably cool with you.
Well, no. California is like Virginia times 2 with the way they do things. I mean, I'll say Virginia is like the East Coast. I mean, New York might be the East Coast version of California.
New York is getting ready to be. New York is getting ready to be the highest tax state.
But where I was going with this is like they will find anything to tax you on in Virginia. Like if you put a yard sale sign out in front of your yard,
it's a commonwealth. Everybody gets a cut.
They tax you on your car. Yep. They charge you for your registration. They hit you with a safety inspection. And then if you don't pay any of this stuff, they take your driver's license away from you. And they're like, oh, well, you're driving on suspended now. Guess what? Now you can go to jail for 30 days for that. And
I was
so it's just like
I was in Fort Campbell with a guy who was from Virginia, and his car had Virginia plates on there. He was deployed over during the first Desert Shield desert storm, and his there's a pet tax. Tina, give me a break. Really?
Yes, there's a well, I would say more. They call it a license.
License.
You gotta pay it every year. I think it's something along the lines of, if you don't have your county pet tag, they'll come by and they will fine you. They will literally fine you.
Oh my gosh.
It's something saying like $500. Oh, you didn't pay your $20 tag. Here's $500.
Oh, that's insane. And people are okay with that. They just, all right, that sounds good. They care about it.
No. A lot of people just refuse to pay it because, it would take an animal control guy to come out to your house for some stupid reason. And then he'd be like, oh, well, where's your permits for these dogs? Where's your paperwork for the dogs? And then, like, I mean, I got away with it. I got him registered. I don't know where the paperwork's at. I have to find it. And he had a tag, from like 10 years ago, and it was like, he's like, you look at the tag, but like, well, he's got the tag, so he's good to go. Yeah.
And all that is proof of that you paid for it once. And it's probably a recurring thing too. There's nothing.
We're talking about taxes. I have to get it off my chest because I didn't do it last week. But taxation is theft, people.
You didn't get to say that last week, and you were kind of sad about that.
You hurt. Yeah, no. I want to say it every week until people start it starts clicking in people's heads. Like,
well, it is. If you think about it, it is. I understand some taxation, but there's just, if you look at what was this last stimulus was it was $900 billion with a B dollars, $900 billion, and 120. How many millions? It was a couple of 100 million that stayed in the United States, and the rest of it went somewhere else.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I called it the porculus bill.
Porculus bill, yeah.
The Porculus bill. No, it's like, why does Pakistan need $10 million for gender studies? Because all they're going to do is just be like, oh, well, gender studies, what's this? Nuclear program, you know, like it's just asinine. Democracy programs in some of the craziest countries. Like, okay, I understand. Foreign aid makes sense to me. Small amount makes sense to me because you don't want to cause issues that boil into massive issues where then you have to spend $1 trillion to fix the shit. You know, so if I spend $10 billion here and keep them quiet and keep them happy, keep them fed, you know, but why us? Why do we have to do it? Why does the United States, the sole proprietor and police of the world at that point? Who deemed us this?
We are pretty badass, though.
No, I mean, we got a good military, you know, we got a great Navy, we got a great Air Force, yeah, if you spend as much money as we do, I think what the United States spends like 24, like out of all of our allies and stuff like that, we spend like 24 times more than all of them or something like that. And it's just nuts the amount of money we blow into our military, which I have no problem with because, you know, a good offense is a great defense, right?
Yeah. Well, yeah. Scott Rosa said exactly what I was thinking in my head. He says excessive taxation is theft. If we can afford to give foreign nations cash for quote unquote gender studies, the American people are being taxed too much. That's
exactly like, okay, like the fuel tax, right? It's South Carolina. Let me give you examples. I think South Carolina has one of the lower fuel taxes of most of the states, but their roads, like, okay, the fuel tax is to go for the roads. So I drive on the roads, I spend gas, I pay to keep the roads fixed.
Okay,
but the roads around here are batshit crazy. Like you just be driving or just pothole. Like 10-foot pothole, and it doesn't get fixed. But then they turn around, like where I live right now. I'm not gonna give names or anything like that, but they decided that it's a tourist area. But they decided that they were gonna spend $41 million on this little like wave skate park kind of thing near the beach.
Okay.
And they said it would probably bring in around $450,000 a year in revenue. And I was like, wait a minute.
How?
Let me do the math on this. $41 million for $450,000 a year.
What, do they charge you to skate in the park?
Well, no, I mean, no, it's like a amusement park kind of thing, you know,
okay.
A tourist trap. You know, let's bring tourism in. You know, what they're thinking is like, if we bring tourists into this area, they'll spend more money and we'll make more money. But I did the math on it, and it was like $41 million at $450,000 a year. I think it took 91 years.
I was going to say, it sounds like about 100 years to reclaim your investment.
Yeah, so, I mean, it's like a piss poor investment. And then the roads getting in here are crazy. No tourist wants to spend 40 hours in traffic to get to the skate park. So you're spending money. That's what happens when you have government people who do not understand shit.
Or they've lost all comprehension of what the dollar means once you start getting into multiple zeros.
Yes. Or me even, I'll get into it. The $600 a week unemployment.
Not
I had yeah, it was $600 a week extra for the coronavirus. It's kind of a relief thing or whatever it is.
It used to be, but with the new one, it was like it was like an extra 400. It was reduced to 400. Still a lot.
Something like that. But when the first one came out, it was $600 a week. Our neighbor here, close to the house, had a son, I guess, that was working part time or something like that at a restaurant. He got laid off. He was able to claim this $600 a week. He was only bringing in $100 a week. $120 a week. But he claimed the unemployment. Now he's making $600 plus a week.
I was the girl that cuts my hair. It's a big business, but individual stylists are in there. She said it was hard for her to get once they allowed the salons to be back open. It was hard for her to get people back because they were making way more money collecting unemployment plus that bonus check. At that time, it was $600 a week. She's like, I don't make $600 a week, and I run this place.
Well, no, exactly. And like a couple, I think some of the senators or representatives mentioned that, and they got ran in the ground for it. Like people ain't doing that. No, they ain't doing it.
Yeah,
600 people ain't gonna quit a job for $600 a week.
Well,
you know, people who don't understand money. $600 a week is a lot of money for some people. A lot.
So back onto Rachel, I did not ignore your comment. He sent money to Iran. Here's money that you can use to murder us. if you're talking about the big old pallets of cash that was sent,
was it the previous administration?
Well, it was Barack Obama sent money to Iran. That was money that was like frozen. It was their money. We were just holding it for them, not as a favor, but as a penalty. And then some agreement happened, so they gave them back their money. Is what happened.
Why give your?
I'm not saying it's right. I'm just saying that's what happened.
Hey, this dude hates me. I'm gonna give him his money back.
Yeah, but then we dropped a damn an inertia bomb or something on Soleimani, so that was kind of worth it.
Well, he had it coming to him.
Yeah, right.
He deserved it. He deserved it. I don't care what anyone says. That is a man that needed to die.
Right. And now, did you hear Iran? No, it was Iraq. Iraq actually put a warrant out for Donald Trump.
No, it was Iran. What's his name? The
Ayatollah.
Ayatollah. Yeah, that guy. He put a bounty out, and he was like, well, no, he tried to get what's that? The Interpol involved with it too. He's like, I want him arrested. That's like,
I don't know, man. Good luck with that.
This is fucking crazy, man.
And now with all of these executive orders and whatever, one of those executive orders was the quote unquote Muslim ban has been removed.
I wish people would stop calling it.
I know it's not. It's not.
Read it. Like, people can't read anymore. Oh, you're gonna get me mad again. These were countries which were known to harbor terrorists that hated us. Seditionists.
Yes.
Insurrectionists.
Keep them out.
Yes. So don't let them come here. How about this? We're not going to vet you. You just don't come here. Simple as that.
And then the borders are going to be wide open now. Not wide open. The migrant. It's called the Migrant Protection Plan, which actually said, okay, if you've been arrested and you're trying to gain access to the United States, you're going to go back to Mexico while your case is being heard. That is being kicked to the curb now. That these illegal immigrants are being allowed to stay in the United States pending their hearing. And now even Biden said, hey, now's not the time to come to the border, but now there's like caravans coming to the border.
I can get on that is because the way it was worded, and I've been following
wording
a lot of outside news sources. Their news sources down there in the Honduras and were saying, hey, if you hurry up and get to the United States, Biden's going to be offering like free citizenship for all these people who are there illegally. So their brains are like, if I can cross the border within the next 100 days, I got a free citizenship.
Yeah, I mean, but if you read into it, it's like a path to citizenship over 11 years. I haven't seen the entire details of everything, but it's not like a blanket. Everybody gets a driver's license and a passport and all these other cool things. There's a whole lot of disinformation on there.
Virginia started handing out. Was talking about it, handing out migrant driver's license. Like a state where 1 in 4 people are driving around on the citizens are driving around on suspended license because of crazy laws. They want to give immigrants free driver's license.
Well, why not just give them a free car too? Take your picture, fill out this form, give us a fake address, and all the best.
They don't have to prove insurance, none of that shit. They just here's the driver's license.
Why insurance companies are making money hand over fist with people like me who buy the uninsured or underinsured motorists coverage, because chances are if you get hit by someone,
especially living down there in Texas, dude, like if you don't get it, you're an idiot.
Yeah,
I'm just sorry to say it.
I got a new car. Well, I had a 2016. I got a 2019, and I went and I upped my coverage, man. It's like I don't trust anybody. I don't trust anybody on the road.
Well, that's defensive driving, my friend.
So instead of Scott Rosa says, instead of $600 checks to people for being unemployed, what if they just did a temporary $600 per person to employ someone?
Yeah, see, okay, that would work, and
maybe some incentives to that's what the original stimulus was for, is to keep people. This will be a grant. It's a loan now, but it'll turn into a grant if you maintain your workforce. That's the way it was structured to begin with.
But the unemployment idea behind it like ruined it because like no one wanted to go back to work.
And I guess I've been working every day since this thing happened. Mid-March or whatever, and so I haven't. I can see how seductive it would be to being you can sit on your ass and do nothing and still get paid and be able to pay your bills. At some point.
Okay, I'm not going to fault anyone for that.
Right. But at some point that money's going to run out.
Shit.
At some point that money's going to run out.
Yes, exactly. At some point you got to like me, if I would have been like that, like I was telling you about my neighbor's son or whatever it is who was making a whole crap ton of money, I would have found a way to make start my own startup and get away from that.
Or find some kind of a side hustle. To support
hustle
yourself
off the side, make money. Some people get in that lazy funk where they're just like, oh, well, I'm getting paid. That's the end of it.
Scott says, how are you gonna expect them to vote without a migrant driver's license? Some states, Texas requires an ID. Some states say no, you can't do that because it's unconstitutional.
Which makes no sense to me because then they require you to get a driver's license to drive, and if the law applies the same way,
or some kind of an ID, it's just an ID. That's all they want is ID.
Voter ID should be a thing, but they shouldn't have to pay for it. Simple as that. You go into the DMV and be like, "Hey, I want my voter ID," and that should be enough.
Hi, Twitter.
You need to get a state ID.
Hi, Twitter. I'm talking to you. My original.
On Twitter.
Kaz page got taken down because I put up a graphic. It says it had a graphic of the DNC, and underneath it says like demand voter ID. This is back when doesn't.
I never remember that.
And I got busted for that. I posted it a couple of times and I got blown in, and they gave me a permaban. It wasn't even a hey, did you do this, or hey, take this down. It was a no. Do not pass go. Do not collect $200. I had like 1,000 followers, and it was a pretty happy time on the Twitter sphere. Now I'm like, now my Twitter's got like 80, maybe 80, 50 or 80 people, and it's just I don't care too much about it. Twitter's kind of a dumpster fire right now, but I think that's
echo chamber, a toxic environment.
But I
is
think
what
it's,
it is.
But I think it's partly my fault because of the people that I follow. I follow people like Chuck Schumer and AOC and Ilhan Omar, and so I'm getting a lot of that circle conversations within my feed.
With Twitter, I was very careful about who I followed on Twitter. I kind of did try to do the Elon Musk thing where I only follow like 4 or 5 people, but then I've got so many people that I need to follow.
Yeah,
and so I follow them. And then, I was just trying to keep my following down below my followers. That's just that was my goal. But
gotcha.
Even then, most of the people tweet stuff I agree with that I follow. And then I go just get into the rabbit hole, and I'm like, holy shit, what the fuck did I find myself into?
Right.
This is worse. It is worse than. I want us to say this. I think Twitter right now is worse than Pool on 4chan. But on the opposite side of the spectrum.
I've never gone to the QAnon. I've never done the 4chan thing. I see some of the products, because they float around. They make the rounds. So that's how I've seen those. But I've never really consumed their stuff, and I don't know. I think it's funny. What I've seen, some of that stupid stuff. It's like Babylon B.
You get on there and you're just like, these kids are I don't want to say the word, but I mean, the stuff that they do blows my mind. I'm like, you guys are idiots. I'll give them that. But then you go on Twitter, hey, you guys are idiots too. So
maybe I'm the idiot and they're smart. I have no idea. I don't know everything.
Maybe I'm the dumbest person on the planet and I just don't realize it yet. Huh?
Hey, let's talk stimulus.
All right.
I got this is actual information. This is information because tax time is coming. So the federal government has delivered 2 stimulus checks to tens of millions of Americans as part of an effort to blunt the economic pain triggered by the coronavirus pandemic. Many are wondering how the payments could affect your 2020 taxes as the filing season approaches. Taxes played a major role in how government distributes their money. The first check, worth as much as $1,200, was based on either your 2018 or 2019 tax return, while the second check, worth up to $600, was based on your 2019 return. So to back up, your first check was because of 2018, 2019. Your second check was definitely because of your 2019 return. But in some instances, Americans either didn't receive a stimulus check or they didn't receive the full amount that they were entitled to, given instances like job losses or the birth of a child, or like for you, you don't file taxes. You're a non-filer.
Oh no, I already figured this whole thing out. Like I figured it out. I helped my granddad figure it out. Man, we like I dove into tax code on this and I figured it out how to do it. So
many folks are asking, do I owe taxes on the stimulus money? The answer to that question is no,
absolutely
you do not, because the IRS does not consider the stimulus check to be income, so they don't count it as income. It does not raise your income by $1,200 a year or $600 a year. You don't have to pay taxes on it. Eligibility for the first $1,200 payment was based on your 2018-19 tax return. If you received an incorrect amount of money or no stimulus at all, you can still receive the full payment. To do so, you will need to file a 2020 tax return and claim a recovery rebate credit. That's exactly what it's called. The
line 30 on the 1044.
Recovery rebate credit. So now the IRS this year, today, opened up, it's called Free File. It's a free online tax preparation software for taxpayers who earn less than $72,000 to prepare and file their tax returns. Americans can also claim their stimulus check using that tool. So take that information and run to the tax man. And if you haven't received it, or if you've got the wrong amount, just, everything's paperwork, man.
I mean, you can too. I'm going to tell people this. If anyone's listening, it pertains to is like I did earlier because like the IRS's free file thing was down, so I was like, okay, well, I hit up TurboTax, and TurboTax has a free filing system that does the same exact thing, and you don't have to pay a penny for it. And I've helped so many people who didn't get their stimulus or one of the stimulus checks get it. And it's not that hard. It's 20 minutes, maybe 20 minutes of just click, 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 click. And
I've used
boom,
TurboTax for probably 15 years, just doing all my own stuff. It's legit, man, because everything is automated. It's all they kind of import whatever the tax law is, and they ask you the right questions.
Yeah, and if a warning pops up, look at it, read it. If you don't understand it, there's a little search bar on the side. You can search it, and then it'll just take time and read.
Holly, I'm sorry to hear you didn't get your second stimulus. That sucks. But go ahead.
I didn't get mine second yet. I'm still waiting on it because I did file for it, and so
I didn't. I forgot about it. I heard that they were coming, and I just didn't. When I went to balance my checkbook at the end of December, I did everything, and it wasn't there. And then it just showed up. They're like, people are talking about it at work. Hey, did you get your Trump bucks yet? I'm like, I don't know. Let me look. So I'd look at my checking account. I'm like, holy crap, there it is. Showed up like the first week of January. So that goes. That's for 2020, because I know I have previewed my tax forms, and they do ask you a question: did you receive your stimulus? And I'm like, oh, I don't know. I don't want to answer that, but it's just a.
No, you answer it. Just say yes or no, and if you say yes, even further down the line, did you receive both stimuluses? And it'll break it down. Mm-hmm. But that's what like line 30 on like just to simplify it. If you just want to go to a library, grab a 1044. Fill out all the information, write zero the whole way down. If you don't make income like me, taxable income, write zero the whole way down. When it gets to your deduction, you write your deduction, which is like 12,000 something. You write that in there, write the zeros the whole way down. And once you get to line 30, whatever they owe you, like $600, $1,200, $1,800, whatever, you write that in there and then boom, sign, send it off.
That's an IRS form 1040.
Yes.
Yep. I long for the day of the 1040 easy, that little one page. Done in 5 minutes.
Yes.
It takes you longer to look for a stamp to mail it in.
Yeah. I mean, taxes aren't really that hard. People get confused about it. Like my big thing is like you look at some countries where like, they do income tax, but because the IRS knows everything already. They just want you to file it. But like in some countries, they'll like the employer or the tax agency themselves will do it all for you and then send you your check. You don't even have to do a thing. You just, here's my tax return. Cool, thank you. Yeah. But, America's got to be super complicated. We still use the imperial system instead of the metric system. We weigh things in hamburgers instead of, kilograms. So,
that's a really tall tree. It's about 4 cows high.
Yeah, exactly.
Anything but the metric system.
No, anything.
Which is really weird because I'm in a field of work where we kind of use both, but it's becoming more and more dominated by the metric system. So you kind of
the metric system makes more sense to me.
It makes more sense if that's what you've been exposed to. But
it's easier to do the math.
Oh, it is. It definitely is. But when you're doing precise measurements, it's all the same. If I'm making something that has to be within the 1/100th of an inch tolerance, metric system it doesn't matter. Convert it to millimeters, and then as long as I have the tools to do the measurement, it's all going to be the same. Metric time, Heath, excellent. So an hour is actually going to be like 48 minutes and 37 seconds.
We're gonna have a Unix time clock sitting over your bed at night with all fucking 40 billion numbers on it. It's 045967895544321. All right, let's do that.
Okay, well, guess what? It's break time already, dude. This first hour has blown by. Quick. I do want to share with you, everybody here listening, here on WTF Nation Radio, that we have some good friends in the band called Another Round. They're from Oklahoma City. Go and hit them up. On Facebook, you can hit them up. It's just facebook.com/Another Round OKC. They're from Oklahoma City. And they've got a new. I play a lot of their music, and they've been on the show a couple of times. They have a new single which dropped today, and I get to play that for you right now. We're going to be back in just a couple of minutes, but enjoy this music from Another Round, and we'll see you in just a few shots. Where is it? There it is.
WTF Nation Radio. WTF Nation Radio.
Suck me in, we play this game and no one wins. Wanted to believe you never threw replace me.
Hey, Mia, you better hide your baby oil.
You better hide that big-ass forehead.
All right, everybody, here we go. Here we are for the second hour of Friday Night Freedom. My name is Kaz, and this is WTF Nation Radio, and over my shoulder is the bearded wonder, Pookie.
Yeah.
Oh. Wow. That was a good break. I really enjoyed Another Round song. So if you guys have a chance, go to Facebook. Go to facebook.com/Another Round OKC, and you'll hit their Facebook page, and they have this video that I took the audio off of that. But their music is there. You can get it on if you're on Spotify or anything like that. You can just type their name Another Round in there, and then you can always stream their music and music that is like. And the reason why I like Another Round, they are I forget how we got connected. I don't know if that was because of our back office, our front desk, our front desk folks here at WTF Nation Radio, but somehow we got connected. They're up in Oklahoma City, and the front man is a Navy veteran. So like many bands that we get connected with, like we do a lot of Assuming We Survive stuff. Their front man is a Blackhawk mechanic. A veteran Blackhawk mechanic. Great dude.
Those are down your alley there. You love the aviations.
I got to talk. I talked to Adam. He didn't predate me. We kind of served along about at the same time. Adrian Estrella, and we talked the same language, so it was an easy conversation. And you know how you can talk to a veteran and your conversation just kind of. You may have not have served in the same service or the same jobs, but the way that you speak is very similar.
It's like a different language, kind of like you can get into the language, and it's just like everyone else around you is just like, what the heck are these guys talking about? But we understand each other.
I work in a lab with let me see, the guys that work for me. Let me see. I've got a Marine who worked C-130s. I've got a Navy guy who did, he was a back shop repair fella. I have another guy who was, he was an Apache electrician type. One guy who wasn't in the military at all. But my boss is a former Marine. One of my engineers is an Army guy. Another engineer he was a Marine as well. It's just, we have a lot. We have a lot in common, but we're completely different. But when we have conversations, it's like everybody just kind of snaps back to the same kind of a military mindset. I've been out for a long time, and even the guys that get out, that have just gotten out, like this young fellow that works for me that was a Marine in the C-130 squadron, we all kind of talk the same language in the same way. And even the folks that come into my lab that aren't veterans, they're just like, huh? They're kind of
what?
Yeah, they're like, oh my gosh, did you just tell them to fuck off? I'm like, oh yeah. Everybody's hey motherfucker, come here. Everything's cool. Everyone's got thick skin. And I think it's really awesome. So, I've got a lot of.
Sounds like a very awesome job to work, because nowadays I'm pretty sure that a lot of people have very thin rice paper skin.
Every time we get a new employee, especially one who is not a veteran, we have a sit down with the big boss, who never served in the military, but he was in the Corps at University of Texas A&M. So he's kind of experienced with military and the way that military things. How instructions are relayed and how things happen.
Knife hands be flying.
And he's just like, hey, we've got a new engineer coming in. Kind of keep it on the down low for a while until they get their feet wet and then used to the environment, and then all bets are off.
See, I'm a complete opposite. It's like, if you don't know how to swim, you're getting thrown in a lake. You either drowned or you swim at that point.
I work for a great company, and we have great leadership, and it's cool how we all work together and things just freaking work out, and it's awesome. So we're ahead of schedule. I didn't get to all the stories that I wanted to within the first break. Completely opposite of last week. I think I was out of breath. I was talking so fast.
You mean ahead of schedule, behind schedule?
No, ahead of schedule. I didn't. I kind of paced as far as here. I'm like, okay, we get this story, that story, this story. We're going to take a break, and then we're going to do this story, that story, this story. We hit the break before I even got to my last story, and I wanted to get to this. It's kind of funny because getting the COVID vaccine. If you're in Michigan, there's incentives for you to get the COVID-19 vaccine. I'm actually on the list. I signed up. I'm on the list. So whenever that happens,
all the power to you, man.
I'll let you know how it goes. My dad got it. He didn't have any other than injection site pain. That's he never he didn't feel sick. He didn't get any other symptoms. But I'm going to get it because.
Me and my grandfather were having this conversation probably about 2 hours earlier.
Right.
And I was like, I'm scared of the long-term effects. He's like, I'm 75. I don't give a shit about the long-term effects. So I was like, all right, then get it then.
That's a smart. He's like, what the hell, Anyway, in Michigan, if you can show proof that you got the COVID-19 vaccine, you get a joint. The program is called.
Weed.
The program is
marijuana, cannabis.
The program is called Pot for Shots.
Oh dear Lord!
To help encourage Michiganders to get vaccinated against COVID-19, a local marijuana dispensary is offering a Pots for Shots promotion. Anyone who brings in written proof that they have received a COVID-19 vaccine to the greenhouse of Walled Lake will get a free pre-rolled joint. Our goal is to raise awareness of the importance of getting the COVID-19 vaccination as we as a community battle this horrible pandemic. Pot for Shots is our way of showing our commitment in helping the community get back to normalcy. We support the safe and responsible use of cannabis and hope that this is the beginning of the end of this insidious pandemic. And that is a quote from Jerry Millen, who is the owner of what the hell is that place called? The Greenhouse of Walled Lake. So if you're in or around that area of Michigan, I know we have some Michigan listeners. You can go and get a shot, and apparently they give you proof. I don't know if it's a vaccination card or whatever. I've seen some of those floating around online. I'm like, I'll write someone, hey, yeah. Pookie got a shot. This is cause.
So this isn't a government agency doing this. This is kind of like a private
local business
saying, hey, if you get vaccinated, I'll give you a joint.
Mm-hmm.
Capitalism.
There you go.
So, free market capitalism. It does more for the community than
any government thing. I mean, it's like what did Ronald Reagan say? Well, Ronald Reagan said that the scariest words to ever hear is like, "Hello, I'm from the government and I'm here to help."
Exactly.
So I've got a fun coronavirus trivia fact, a fun fact of the Rona.
You just said fun and coronavirus in the same sentence.
Yeah, I did. I sure did.
Oh, shit. You're the first man in history to do this. All right, let's do this.
Okay, more than 3.5 million people have been vaccinated against coronavirus in the UK. This surpasses the number of all of the people who have tested positive for the virus.
So more people in a small country. It
is small.
Got vaccinated than more people have tested positive in the entire world.
No, more people than have tested positive in the UK. More people have been vaccinated in the UK than have tested positive for the Rona in the UK.
Okay. Well, that's a good thing. Then.
That is good.
I mean, I'll say it's a good thing. I mean, I don't trust the vaccine,
and that's how. I mean, let's assume that all the information that we hear, you get vaccinated. Okay, you've got this safety bubble around you, and they throw out the terms herd immunity and things like that. That's the way to do it. Is when you have a lot of people getting the vaccination. Now, of course, it's like the flu vaccination. It's not 100%. Actually, it's not. It doesn't have a very good track record because they miss it a lot because there's very different.
Because the government deals with it.
I don't know about Pfizer, Tina. I don't know. I do not know. I know it's whatever takes the 2 shots. There's a couple of vaccines that require
the Pfizer shot is 2 doses. There's another one that's 2 doses, and there's one floating around. I can't remember what company does it, but they do have a 1 dose one floating around. And China's got their own. It's only 70%.
I'm not. I don't want anything that has anything to do with China.
With China, no.
No. After the way that they've handled all of this and their disinformation, non-information, lying by omission instead of commission is just crazy, man. I don't think that they did anybody any favors by, shutting people up that were saying, hey, people are getting really sick here. Way before it even hit the United States shores, there was all these sicknesses happening in China, and then they went over to northern Italy, where there's a huge a Chinese population of workers there, and then it just kind of went boom, and spread everywhere.
That meme that was floating around earlier last year, where it's like a Chinese person gets sick. Oh, I gotta travel,
Yeah, right. I'm not feeling very well. I'm gonna go travel the world.
No,
they got to do it. They did it for work. They did it. There's a large. Apparently, I did not know this. A large population. But then, even North Korea, who's pretty much shut off from everyone, they have a coronavirus issue, and even Kim Jong.
I thought there was no coronavirus in North Korea.
No,
what they kept saying there early on. Oh, we don't have coronavirus.
Three Cletus Medical. Yes. Three Cletus
One
Medical.
dose.
I love that.
Yes.
So I was trying to vamp and bring in working. So most people, I'm not talking about soldiers or anybody in the military. Most everybody is it's usually a 5-day work week, 40 hours. Seems pretty normal. It's always been a 5-day work week, usually 40 hours a week if you're working full time. Recently, as a couple of days ago, there's still a push to bring it down, and we've gone from 5 days a week, 40 hours total, 8 hours a day. Anything over 8 hours, you get paid overtime. If you are in a certain pay structure, if you're a salary person, then you have a carve out, and it's math. But there's a big push to bring this down. There was, when they went from, hey, work your employees their asses off, going from that to a 5-day work week, there was a lot of pushback saying that was going to ruin the economy and things aren't going to get done. But there's a push to have a 4-day work week, and I don't think I agree with this. In my field, it couldn't happen. I think we would have to hire a couple of more people, and we're going to have 7-day coverage because doing flight research, especially for military programs, you need to get shit done, and there's timelines, and you have to meet all the metrics and stuff. So we would have to have coverage for the entire week.
Like a 4-day work week, like the 4 10s over 5 8s?
No, they're talking. What they're talking about in this article was actually reducing people's hours, and I'll get to that in a second. Paying people more and reducing people's hours so they don't feel obligated to work overtime. I think that's the gist of it. Let's get into it.
Oh, I get. Okay. No, I see where you're going with this. All right, I got you.
So a 4-day weekend, it's an idea whose time has come, and this is the article speaking, not me. As governments struggle to cope with COVID-19, going out to work a 5 full days of week is suddenly the exception rather than the rule. The number of workers who know what it feels like to have more free time has risen dramatically. So has the number of employers with experience of recognizing staff time. And this is good news. The bad news is that the restrictions on everyday life are hitting the poor the hardest through loss of jobs and income, as well as through delayed health care or other illnesses and enforced conditions that threaten mental and physical well-being. Few believe the economy will simply, quote-unquote, bounce back in 2021, and there's no chance the effects of the pandemic will vanish as swiftly as they appeared. Moving to shorter working time can build on the good news and help put an end to the bad. In the first instance, it offers a way of sharing a reduced supply of jobs among people, cutting the numbers of unemployed and releasing others from the multiple strains of long hours of working. Crucially, this strategy is more than a temporary fix. It underpins a long-term transition to a fairer, more sustainable economy. So it's a part of a broader policy agenda. These are just blah, 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 blah words to me. That includes raising hourly rates of pay so that no one is forced to work long hours to make ends meet. You know, a lot of it, there's a point to this, because businesses have been forced to adjust with people working from home and telecommuting. I've got an engineering staff, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I've got 7 engineers in my lab right now. I see half of them part of the week, and then maybe the other half of them the rest of the week. They're all doing stuff from home. So maybe to telecommute, you don't have to. Driving the Dallas-Fort Worth metro area sucks really bad. It's pretty stressful. Traffic is really bad.
I agree with you on that.
It's just aggressive driving and just the volume of people on the road. It would give me, if I could work from home, which I can't, it would give me a sense of like, I don't have to drive today. It keeps miles off your car. You're not burning as much gas. I can see the benefits of that in certain job applications, not mine, not many. But I think a lot of companies right now are realizing that they can do more with less because of the way that things are. You're limited to the amount of people that you can have in like an office area.
This kind of like takes me back to my military experience, where they would have us 5 days a week sitting around with our thumbs up our butts, not doing anything. And at the last minute, all of a sudden, we need to do this, and everyone's like, boom. Where they could have, this is like there was a thing floating around way back. I don't know if anyone remembers it, but they were talking about giving soldiers Wednesdays off because it would save the government more money just to not be consuming power, like energy with a bunch of people just sitting around just staring at each other and lights and AC and crap like that. And it makes sense to me in like situations like that. But you can't okay, we're going to do a 4-day work week at a hospital. No.
Where's Dr. Johnson? He's the guy that just took my gallbladder out and he's having complications. Where's Dr. Oh, he's off today.
Yeah, he's off. No, you can't.
There's some jobs you just can't. There's no police officers, firefighters, any of the first responder crew. And it's not like it's not like you're going to be working 4 days a week and it's going to be 10 hours a day for 4 days, Heath. It's like they want to reduce hours. They want to reduce the amount of time that people spend at work. It's not that the work is not getting done, because it seems to me they would have to hire more people to make sure all that work is done.
They're trying to further distance themselves also from the overtime mandate, which a lot of companies will actually I don't want to put people on blast. I won't say certain jobs because, you know, they work certain jobs, but I know some people that work in some companies where they get their pay period is what, bi-weekly? I think that's the term, every 2 weeks.
Every 2 weeks, yeah. Our salary guys, our engineers are paid bi-weekly. Yeah. I'm a technician.
So like overtime doesn't make sense at all by the time you get paid. Like I worked literally 160 hours last week, but because I only worked so many hours this week, I ain't getting paid time and a half because of my pay period.
No, it's just it's the fact that they get a salary. Whether they come to work or not, they get a salary. Let's call it $80,000 a year.
Like the Army's the same way. I mean, if I come to work, I'm still getting paid the same way.
But these guys, like what my engineer is like, if they work more than 40 hours a week, they don't get paid above 40 hours a week unless they work 48 hours a week. So there's an 8-hour carve out. After the 8-hour carve out, which is 8 hours for free, then they start getting paid straight time, based on an hourly salary, which is based on their annual salary. So they'll make, you know, whatever their salary is, they make that, period, whether they come to work or not. If they don't come to work, they're going to get fired. So I'm just saying that they're contracted to work and earn this amount of money based on 40 hours. Then there's this 8-hour carve out, which they make $0 extra, but then after that, then they make whatever their hourly rate is based on their annual rate. So it's, you know, 35, 40, 50 bucks an hour.
Now, another question. Is this like someone pushing for government mandate on this, or is this just like some like I can't even say a word. You get what I'm saying?
Yes.
Just saying this is the best way to do things.
They are saying that this would be a good change for people to take the physical stress off of, you know, people, off of the workers. A well-rested worker is a more productive worker.
No, I would agree with it.
That's
why I asked about the 410s over, you know,
okay,
5.8s.
We went through, we had a choice. This is probably 10 or 15 years ago, where they said, okay, you have a choice. You can commit to, and you can change it. Every 6 months, you can change your preference. Either you're going to be working 5 8-hour days, or you can work 9 hours. It's called the 980 schedule. So over 9 days, you work 80 hours. So every other Friday, you would get off. And that's what we're on right now, but I don't remember the last time I had a Friday off.
Well, that's the way it works.
Right. But still, but then they changed. So you have a week. So when you work the 980 schedule, you have 1 week that is 44 hours, and I get paid weekly. So you have 1 week that's 44 hours, and then the next week is 36 hours. So on that 44-hour week, the way that things just fell because of normalcy, everybody who worked 44 hours a week, who got paid on a weekly pay scale or a pay schedule like I do, I would get 4 hours of overtime every week. And it wasn't a big deal because they just extended our work day, you know, by an hour, from 8 to 9 hours. So it's like 9 hours Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and then 8 hours Friday. And then the next week would be 9 hours Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and then you get Friday off. So the first week you get 4 hours of overtime. So they were like, well, shit, we're paying people overtime. So now they, well within the rules and the law, the labor laws, they actually changed our work week. So my work week begins at 12 at lunchtime on Friday, and it ends at 11:59 a.m. on Friday. So now I only get so when I work Fridays, I get half of my day falls on the current week, and then half of the day falls on 4 hours gets pushed over into the next week.
This is Fandango. That's like a loophole.
It is, it's a big old shell game. So when it comes out in the payroll, it's like it's just 40 hours a week. I don't remember the last time I've worked 40 hours a week. I've always worked at least 50. And I'm usually in the mid 70s, 70, 75 hours a week. But that's crazy. Oh my gosh, Heath, I have a 100-mile round trip to commute 5 days a week. A 4-day work week would save you a lot of money. Absolutely. I get that.
No, I'm like okay, like me is the way I am. Like, let the corporations figure out how to do it. I mean, your business, I'm a business manager, and I want to figure out the best way to, manage my people. If I want to have them on a, 10-hour work day for 4 days and let them choose their day off kind of thing, or fight amongst each other for it.
Or just say, okay, half of you have to work Monday and half of you have to work Friday, but you can have either one of those days off. Work it out amongst yourself.
Exactly. But
you have to have coverage. You have to have coverage. You can't just have an empty building. You can't just have an empty building with nobody doing nothing.
Trust me, I understand that. You got but you have corporations like Walmart and Amazon and all these big tech, big guys, the big heavy hitters in the industry.
Gotcha.
They purposely only hire part-time people because they know they can skim out on like certain benefits that they have to require due to the 40-hour work week.
Okay.
So I'm only give you 20 hours a week. I'm gonna pay you this much, give you 20 hours a week.
You know what's weird? I went and I bought a new pair of shoes last week, and as I was looking for shoes, the manager of that shoe store was talking to a technician, an employee in the aisle behind me, who was stocking shelves, and she's like, "Hey, Sarah, I wanted to offer you this, that, and the other, and if you take this offer, you can have," and it was like she was trying to upsell this thing. You can have 15 hours a week, and if you don't accept this, you're going to be limited to between 5 and 8 hours a week of work. I'm like, dude, why?
Insane.
I know.
Who works for a company that only gives them like I would quit. I'd be like, get the hell out of here with this crap. If you're gonna pay me crap, you're gonna give me crap hours, then why am I here? You're not giving me any benefits. I mean, that's just why. Back to the minimum wage thing. There should be no mandated minimum wage.
So me being me, and I'm very personable, and I get along with everybody. And I'm a funny fella, and I'm not bad looking. So I walked over, and I had my box of shoes, and I said, what she's not telling you is that if you take the 15-hour-a-week position, it comes with a company car. And she goes, no, it doesn't. I said, I'm just being funny. And she's like, wow, the last time I had a company car, I worked for Spring Creek Barbecue as a manager, and they gave me a car. I'm like, hey, I'm not trying to start a fight. I'm just trying to be funny. And then I went to the register and I bought my shoes. It just sucked, man, because there was one person at the door who was counting people coming in, because you're limited to the amount of people you can have in your store.
COVID, standing there with his clickers.
yes, they had a clicker, and there was actually, he had a turn. There was a maximum occupancy, and it said 27 people of 87 who can be here. And he would have to do the math, one walks out and, flip the thing, and one walks in, you flip it the other way. It was nuts, man. PTO is a good thing, Heath.
PTO is, I was about to say, I saw that just now. I was like, PTO is legit. It is legit.
PTO is legit. When we were slow and I was actually doing my 44s and 36s, I was really getting addicted to having every other Friday off. It was great because I got a lot done. And I was relaxed, and it was zen. But then when production picks up and deadlines need to be met, that's when it's just all go. I'm not in my job to work 40 hours a week. I'm in my job to get things done. I have deadlines to meet. I have projects to complete.
Your
and make
job
progress
is to
on.
Produce.
Exactly.
You produce.
And my job isn't like other people's jobs. Some people, push buttons or they sit behind a computer and they crunch numbers, and that's great. That's what you do. You get paid, a lot of money to do that too. I don't know if I could. I don't have a relationship with other the other side of a workforce, or the several sides of a workforce that really don't require you to be there, and you're just there, where it's a chore to go to work. It's absolutely it's absolutely not a chore for me to get up and go to work. If my boss called me right as we got off the air tonight and said, "Hey, dude, I need you to come in tomorrow." I mean, I'm going to work tomorrow anyway, but if he wants me there at 6 o'clock tomorrow morning, I have no problem being there, because I understand how important what I do is to the bigger picture, and it's great, and I'm treated well. We are treated well, you know, and it's not like, okay, here's a bunch of extra money in your pockets. It's okay, we're gonna the company and the program that you're working on is going to, you know, we're gonna buy you lunch twice a week. That means a lot, and that's, you know, it's actually saving me money, so it's kind of like, you know, it's more money in my pocket. I was really, really spoiled on my last program where they, you know, 3 days a week, the company or the program, they budgeted into it to buy everybody lunch 3 days a week. And it's just like, dude, it's like I didn't have to go grocery shopping for lunches during the week. It was awesome. So I get it. So there's going to be a push, and you can look forward to it, I guess, in the coming months and weeks, or weeks and months, for a push towards a 4-day work week. Well, I don't know. I don't know.
Me as a capitalist, my capitalism, do what you want to, run your company how you want to, treat your employees.
Yes.
Like decent human beings, because that's what you should do as a decent human being. But if you have a new way of doing things, do it. If it messes with production, then it messes with production. You'll fix it real quick. If it increases production, then more people will adopt it. You know, that's the beautiful thing about a free market society, man. Like, a lot of people want the government to be like, hey, you got to do this. You got to do this.
Everybody
let these companies experiment and let them figure it out.
Yeah, we're not a communist society or a socialistic society yet, where where the government says boom, 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 produce, and we're going to give you what you need, and just what you need, nothing extra. I like the way that we can.
Everyone loves to stand in line for toilet paper.
I didn't like that. Okay, you hear about that vaccine? There's a vaccine factory, I guess, in India that burnt the fuck up.
My mother was telling me about it the other day, and I kind of confused it for something that happened a while back, because apparently some pharmaceutical company somewhere in like Indonesia somewhere, but I didn't pay attention to it.
This was in India. I was gonna do a story on a bad practical joke, but no, this is oh gosh, where is my fire story? Maybe I don't have it. Do I have it? I have the graphic. Okay, we're going to do this live here. Anyway, there was a pharmaceutical factory in India that burnt up. It caught fire. It was going through some renovations, and it caught fire, and that wing burnt down. I don't have the story. Anyway, 5 workers died. And that particular factory was going to produce 1.5 million extra doses of whatever it was. It was like it's like in a hair salon.
Satellite, kind of like a satellite for producing for a company.
It's not just one company. It was a satellite production facility for several different vaccine companies, and they were gonna produce like a shit ton of extra vaccines, and it was like 1.5 billion doses. I really wish
terrorism.
Oh, here it is. At least 5 people are dead after a large fire broke out at the site of the world's largest vaccine producer, located in western India, yesterday. The mayor of Pune City, spelt Pune, said Poon.
He said Poon.
I said Poon. Said the bodies found in the rubble after the fire was extinguished were likely construction workers. Serum Institute of India has been contracted to produce about 50 million doses per month. 50 million doses per month, oh my gosh, of a vaccine developed by Oxford University and AstraZeneca and at other facilities on the company's complex. In an interview with the Associated Press last month, Poonawalla, which is his name, said that he's aiming to increase production from 1.5 billion doses to 2.5 billion doses annually by the end of 2021. The facility, which was under construction as a part of an expansion, had burnt. But Poonawalla said that the fire will not affect production of the vaccine, known locally as COVID Shield.
COVID Shield. All right. I'm just seeing the graphic that you put up there, and it kind of gives me the heebie-jeebies of like anywhere I've been in the Middle East.
Right?
All the like weird ass buses. And shit,
that's exactly what I drew attention to, is the damn buses.
The fucking weird ass buses, man.
The ones on the left and that little one on the right. I drove one of those little ones on the right to drive my crew when I was in Iraq. We had a little ass bus like that. It was like a 12-person bus, and you're shoulder to shoulder people.
You know, a bunch of like TCNs just standing around looking confused.
Mm-hmm.
You know, this is like, it looks like literally a picture from Iraq. Literally, like this.
And you can see that palm tree up on the left. I was freaked out when
you got a day tree in the corner. You know, this looks like it happened, but it's India. And
What's up, Branko? Thank you for coming back, bro. Anyway, I thought it was weird. I flew from Kuwait City, and we landed in Baghdad, and we got out at Baghdad at BIOP, and we were going to stay the night there. And I'm walking around going, dude, there's fucking palm trees here. There's palm trees everywhere there.
They're not palm trees, they're date trees.
Yeah, well, they look like palm trees.
Most of them are date or figs, or whatever.
Figs, yeah. But I was just like, oh my gosh, don't these things need water? I mean, the entire you're surrounded, like even on the Baghdad airport property BIOP, there was, I mean, you can see, fucking bombed out fucking hangars and shit. Which
like BIOP had a huge lake on it.
I never saw the lake.
You started to get into like Victory Complex. There's a big lake with a palace in the middle of it and little houses sitting in the middle.
It was dark, and it was actually raining when I got there.
I did a lot of time in BIOP. Victory Complex or whatever, Liberty Complex.
Liberty Complex. So you want to hear about a bad joke? I mean, I'm kind of the king of bad jokes. I tell a lot of dad jokes, but this is bad, and kids need to get their asses beat for this one. A group of teenagers put super glue in hand sanitizer bottles and offered free squirts to shoppers in Bradford in the UK.
You know, you ever hear the like the hammer punch?
Yeah.
I don't know if you can see me.
Yes, I can. Well, I can see you.
They can't see me, but you can see me. That's what I would be doing to some kids, man.
As soon as I read this story, I'm just like, why didn't these kids get their asses handed to them? But it's the UK, and I guess they're kinder and gentler. The boys were reportedly stood outside of Morrison's supermarket at 5 Lanes End earlier this week. They spotted approaching shoppers and in turn offered them free squirts from a branded hand sanitizer bottle. Kathy Smith said that she almost accepted, and she has no doubts that the boy with the bottle would have squirted it on her hands as she held them out, but she stopped short. And then the crowd of kids that was surrounding them let out a laugh. A lad approached me, showing me the bottle of sanitizer, asking me if I would like a free pump. He was eagerly waiting for me to hold out my hands, and he had a massive smile on his face. They all started to laugh, and I asked, "What's in the bottle?" And he said, "Sanitizer," and then he giggled. And then someone in the background said, "It's fucking super glue." And then she said, "No thanks, I'll pass." That's not funny.
It's just kind of like me going around. Let's say I travel to New York City. Just like look at me, my crazy face, going around and be like, "Here's some free candy."
Oh no. You gonna drive a white panel van and everything?
Yeah, here's a free candy. You know, you're gonna like be like losing your mind on some freaking ayahuasca or some shit by the time I'm done with your ass. But I mean, who these pranks I see on YouTube all the time, you know, like these like guys running around like trying to be zombies out in the hood or something like that. I'm surprised none of them have been shot yet.
Have you noticed that they don't do any of these crazy ass pranks in a 2A friendly?
Yes.
It's not in Fort Worth,
like
Texas.
Seattle, Portland,
Yeah.
New York. You know, they don't go around like Texas. Like, I want to scare you. You get a bullet straight to the forehead at some point.
At the very least, you're going to get punched in the forehead.
I don't know, just like that's like that. What's that show? Impractical Jokers. I watched the thing. I'm like, how do these people not just like beat the crap out of these guys?
I have seen some of the prank videos where it's like, you know, it's a husband and wife and they prank each other and it's for YouTube. So they do this to each other for the views. And it's those are funny.
For profit.
Those are funny, but these folks that go out there and try to be funny around just the general public, that is a dangerous from my point of view here in Texas, that's a very dangerous prospect.
It's like drawing straws during a Roman decimation, pretty much.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's what you're pretty much doing at that point.
So did you hear about all the pardons and commutations that came out in President Trump's last few hours of being president?
Little Wayne.
President Donald Trump issued a bunch of 11th hour pardons and commutations early on Wednesday before the change of command ceremony. I changed the text on that to call it the change of command ceremony. The batch of 73 pardons and 70 commutations issued in the final hours of his presidency was expected, and it is in keeping with a long-standing presidential tradition of exercising clemency powers at the last minute. The list reflected a president keen on awarding pardons to his stalwart allies, as a usual number of who have been swept up in corruption or lying charges. The vast majority of the pardons and commutations on Trump's list were doled out to individuals whose cases who had been championed by criminal justice reform advocates, including people serving lengthy sentence for low-level crimes. But several controversial names appear, including Steve Bannon, who had pled not guilty of charges that he defrauded owners of We Build the Wall online fundraising campaign. I remember when that thing showed up it was a GoFundMe. We Build the Wall.
That was what, about two and a half years ago?
I think it was more like 2 years ago. Maybe sooner.
It's like they had like something like what close to like $30 million like instantly.
They had a lot of millions of dollars. It was one of those. A guy started it, and then Steve Bannon ended up taking it over, and then all of a sudden that money just pretty much went away.
Well, that's what happens when you throw money at non-vetted GoFundMes, but all right.
So Trump had spent the past days deliberating over a pardon for the man who helped him win the presidency in 2016 and followed him to the White House. During his final hours in office, there was a frantic debate underway behind the scenes on whether to grant Bannon a pardon. So he actually thought about it. But there were people that did get pardons or didn't get pardons, and that one of them that didn't get a pardon,
Joe Exotic,
fucking Tiger King, Joe Exotic.
Yeah, so I saw this. He had a limo,
a big ass. Look at that limo, dude, and that's at the federal facility up here in Fort Worth.
He was gonna go baller status leaving the job.
That's probably 7 miles away from me. Big old federal penitentiary there. That's where Joe Exotic is.
Why did not Trump?
I don't know.
Of all the people that he could have done, just to be just like, you know what? I already lost the presidency. Let me do something batshit crazy. You know, like that would Trump be style. You know,
I think that would be
extra. Here's my extra pardon.
I think I would. I would not be upset. I think I would more. I think I am more upset that Steve Bannon got a pardon and Joe Exotic didn't. I've never seen any of Tiger King, but
I can be another one of I haven't seen a single episode of it, but the memes, I love the memes. I'll take the memes.
I don't think I need to watch the series because all the folks at work talked about it when it was when it first came out, and then you can always catch up with all the memes. And apparently Carol Baskin,
the meme lords explain the whole thing to me pretty much.
Carol Baskin is not a nice person, and okay, that's all I need.
Carol Baskin's fucking bitch.
That bitch. So the other folks that got a pardon or commutation, Lil Wayne. Trump has granted a full pardon to Lil Wayne, who pleaded guilty in December to a felony gun possession while on parole. The rapper, known legally as Dwayne Michael Carter Jr., endorsed Trump ahead of the election. Kodak Black. Trump has commuted the sentence of Bill K. Capri, also known as the rapper Kodak Black. In 2019, he was arrested on federal weapons charge and sentenced to close to 4 years in prison. Now, one name that I am familiar with, but it's been a while, is Kwame Kilpatrick. Trump has commuted the sentence of Kwame Kilpatrick, the former Detroit mayor who was sentenced to close to 30 years in prison for corruption charges. Among those who did not make the list, of course, was the Tiger King. Kwame Kilpatrick, from what I remember, he was just a crooked dude, and probably, 30 years is a long ass time for a corruption charge, but damn.
But the Tiger King didn't get pardoned.
Damn, they're
this is Florida man coming at me why didn't you Trump?
Goddamn,
really?
Joe Exotic didn't get it, man. We're gonna riot in the streets.
Joe Exotic, it should just to smack everyone in the face.
I'm thinking, okay, of all the rioting, okay, so something happened to somebody, so there's riots. So President Trump, farted off of his left cheek, other than his right cheek. So now there's riots in Seattle, and Antifa's burning the shit down. You know what's crazy is President Biden got elected. President Biden went through his inauguration, and after his inauguration, both Portland and Seattle were burning because Antifa was throwing firebombs through Democratic National Committee office windows.
And they were saying, "Fuck Biden."
What?
That's what you're saying.
What do they want? Anarchy?
You know what? This is going to be my 2 cents on this.
Okay.
They created it. The DNC created it. I won't say the DNC, but the Democrats, they enabled it. They allowed it to happen, and they just let it happen because it looked like a good kind of political stance. Like Frankenstein creating his monster kind of thing.
And now the monster's out of control.
And now the monster's out of control. And I'll tell everyone right now, I don't give a crap. Proud Boys, whatever it is, whoever, blah, blah, blah. Don't get involved with that. Let them deal with their own monster. Don't say a damn word about it. Just let them keep stomping all over the place. Don't come out on social media saying, hey, look at this, look at this. Don't even bring attention to it. Just let it just roll around.
If no one paid attention to it, I think it would fade away.
I
take care of business. Let law enforcement take care of business.
But they created. I think even Biden said Antifa is just an idea. Kind of like Obama said. What was it? ISIS is just a JV team. That's some dumb shit.
Hey, good night, Branko. Thanks for stopping by, bro.
Good night, Branko.
So even Scott Rosa said they said we don't want Biden. We want revenge.
They want revenge. Okay. To understand this, this is we're getting close to the end of the time here, and I can't really get into this. Maybe we have to do this on another show. But, to get in, everyone has this weird skewed political scale where, they think that, you got, on one side, it's whatever side is fascism, and the other side is communism. When fascism and communism are both on the same side, he's got anarchism on the complete opposite side of this, and this is what these people want. They want just complete chaos.
If you look at the entire spectrum, And this is Kaz talking. That this is not the station. This is not the United States Army. This is not U.S. WTF Moments. You have your libertarian in the middle, and you're the middle road, and you go a little left, a little right. You're kind of that big swath in the middle. You've got the liberals that are way left, and then there's left of that left, which is socialism, communism, and fascism. On the right side, you're going to have your conservative swath, and then you're going to have the fascist conservatives. There's fascism on both sides of the aisle.
No, I totally agree with you on that. But these people want anarchy. They want pure chaos. Some of them think in this magical thing called anarcho-capitalism, which I don't know how you can mathematically like it's like trying to get a hippo to have intercourse with a
gerbil.
A goat or gerbil or something like that. Yeah, something like that. But it makes no sense to me. It's just crazy the way people think.
Guess what rabbit hole I'm diving in as soon as we get off the air? What do you call it? Anarcho capitalism?
No. ANCAPs are different from ANCOMs. ANCAPs are kind of like your extreme libertarians, and I don't agree with most of the stuff they say because it's just insanity. Anarcho communism.
Oh gosh.
They believe in some sort of anarcho system that everyone can be together and there's no government and they're just going to work and not get paid and
but all their bills are going to be paid and
yes,
no one needs money.
And anarcho capitalists on the other hand believe that there has to be some sort of currency, there has to be some sort of cohesion, but the free market can hold it together. Because, supply and demand, I need to do this, I need to do that, they're two different. That's like left and right at that point.
Can we be ADD with our show? I know it's the ending time, but I've got a couple of things that I wanted to get to.
No, let's do it.
Okay. What's an acceptable internet speed for you? Upload, download?
Okay.
Totally left field. This is left field.
Left field. You asked an IT guy this. Acceptable for me is 1 gig up, 1 gig down. That's acceptable for me.
Okay. Guess what the government says?
What's that?
In one of his last acts, and let me pull up my little graphic here. Not pardoned. Download speed. Here we go. In one of his last acts as Federal Communication Commission Chairman, Ajit Pai decided to stick with the FCC's 6-year-old broadband standards of 25 megabits per second download and 3 megabits per second upload speeds. The decision was announced yesterday on the FCC's annual broadband deployment report, released one day before Pai's departure from the FCC because he was a Trump guy.
25 megabits down, 3 megabits up.
Yeah,
you can't run Netflix like that.
He said, "We find," and this is a quote. He says, "Quote: We find that the current speed benchmark of 25/3 megabits remains an appropriate measure by which to assess whether a fixed service is providing advanced telecommunications capability." And these are just like words, blah, 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 blah. We conclude that fixed services with speeds of 25/3 continue to meet the statutory definition of advanced telecommunications capability. That is, such services, quote, enable users to originate and receive high-quality voice data and graphics and video telecommunications.
Maybe out in the middle of the desert in Africa somewhere. That's legitimate. But no. Fuck that.
If it's grandma sending emails or trying to watch a YouTube video, maybe.
You heard me. 1 gig up, 1 gig down. There's no reason why we can't do it. Because America, you know what really is happening right now is America is so far behind the whole throughput of like internet infrastructure.
And that's the thing is throughput. It is throughput. because there's a lot of fiber, but you got to go from fiber to actual wire to and all that conversion stuff.
Get your routers and everything like that. We have failed as a nation. I was reading something about someone talking about was it Starlink. I can't wait for
that's Elon Musk.
Starlink. When that thing hits, man, I'm so happy about that. But when it hits, it's going to throw competition down where competition hasn't been, and you're going to see a big change in things.
Well, in thought, you would see a big change in things if it was allowed to happen. I think the lobbyists are going to be right there fighting against allowing any of this because telecoms are already losing.
I'm going to sell you connection. Stop me.
Telecoms are losing money. Have been losing money for a long time because people are now streaming shows as opposed to
cable.
Subscribing to cable.
Yeah,
which is what I did. I cut the cord.
It's a fucking ripoff.
I don't have a landline. Everything that I have comes through my router, and I have a cell phone, and that's it. I think that there's going to be a big pushback.
They failed behind on pushing for bandwidth is what it was. They failed behind. They lacked on it. They're like, oh well, we can push this shitty cable advertisement every 30 seconds. Let's hear about the pills. It's gonna kill you 3 days later, And you had Hulu, Netflix, all these streaming services come out, and people started cutting the cable subscription.
Yeah.
So what they did was stopped pushing, throughput, like bandwidth. We're gonna hinder this because we want you to be connected to our advertisement system, and that's where they screwed up. And there's Google came in with Google Fiber. I think Kansas City, Tampa, I think there's a couple cities where they came in and they're like, hey, here's a gig up, gig down, $70 a month. And they destroyed the entire telecommunication systems in that area.
Yes, Captain Wayne Baconator, we are still live.
Hope we're still live.
Oh,
Am
yeah.
I live?
I hope we are. As far as I know, we are. I haven't received any indications as though we've been zucked. So yes, we are still live.
Yeah, but this is nuts, and this is why I'm getting
it's money. It's money, and it all comes down to money and who's making the money.
Well, this is the thing where I'm preaching Starlink so much, and this is why I like the whole SpaceX Starlink thing is because they're focused on rural customers.
But what are you going to do? Are you going to go from Starlink to a tower, and from the tower to the person?
No. The Starlink work. I can't even explain how Starlink works, but they put their satellites lower than normal telecommunications, almost 500 kilometers lower. So they're closer to the planet. They can get faster, less latency.
Okay.
Lag is what most people call it. Okay. So you're talking about I think they were advertising I think Elon Musk was advertising 150 download and 25 up with a 120 millisecond max is what he's saying, depending on who's on the network at that point. If the network is loaded,
so I can game with someone who is in Russia, and someone who is in Korea, and someone who is in Europe, and someone else who is on the other side of the United States, and we can all be within 1/20th of a second within each other.
Very much so, to the point where now Verizon and AT&T are starting to build towers. So they've lost their mind. They're like, oh crap, we used to charge these people for data, per gigabyte. Now we're building these towers and offering them unlimited plans because they got to compete now.
Oh.
Because this guy's offering something better, they're going to all switch off our systems. And this is beauty of capitalism. Competition is a great thing,
and the thing is with Elon Musk, he has a lot of disposable, and I say that in quotes, disposable income. He has a lot of money to lose. He has a lot of money to lose. Or his pain factor is a lot lower than everyone else's. Let me say it that way. His pain factor, it's like when you're investing in the stock market. If you talk to someone who is an investor, like with Fidelity, Just throwing them out there. I don't know where I came up with that word. But if you're going to Fidelity, they're going to ask you what your pain factor is. How much loss are you willing to endure before you get really, before you want to pull the reins back?
Investing, yes. Yeah.
Elon Musk has
super high risk, low risk, mid risk. What do you want? Yeah,
Elon Musk has an entirely huge.
I think he's zero. He has zero pain tolerance to it.
Right.
He don't care about money. He don't. And that's the thing that makes him such a great capitalist, is because he will invest into the craziest shit.
Right.
And when it turns out to be good, it works out.
Like carbon scrubbing the atmosphere. Oh my gosh, that's a great idea. Can we do this? And he's got.
I would tell him right now, if he's listening and give me $100 million, I will figure it out for you.
Or at least try to, and he'll put you in touch with the right engineers to, hey, take this guy who's not an engineer's idea, and then make it work. Make something out of it.
I don't want the $100 million. I would just give me $1,000, and there you go.
You know what? Speaking of that, tonight, actually, right about now, is the drawing for Mega Millions, which has increased. It's $1 billion. It's $1 billion.
It's the first time in a while it's been that high.
I think it's the first time ever. I don't know this. You can't call it.
Maybe Mega Millions. Powerball went up to $1 billion back in 2000.
No, it was last year. No, it was last year. It was last year. It was like 1.3 billion, but now Mega Millions is now in. They've crossed that $1 billion threshold. And I bought 10 tickets. I bought 10 tickets last week. They're $1 a piece, or no, they're $2 a piece. But if you get all 5 numbers, you get a certain amount of money. But then if you get that extra, it's kind of a Powerball, but it's fewer numbers. Then you get whatever the amount is. And then you can do multipliers.
Who's a mathematician explained to me, he's like, your chances of winning one of those Powerball or Mega Millions is higher than getting anally probed by an alien
or struck by lightning or whatever else. Yes. Your chances of getting struck by lightning are greater than.
You have more of a chance of getting anally probed by an alien and winning that shit. But if you don't play, you don't win. So that's how they get you in on it. I mean, I played it.
Scott Rosa says it only costs $580 million to buy every combination. One times 2 to the whatever power, the 5th power.
Really? Let's go see that. It only costs $500 million. I need to look this up and see if this is true.
So if there's 5 numbers.
If I was a billionaire, I'd win every Powerball. Screw
it. Oh my gosh! I was going to do a show or a story on the distrust in the media. A new study came out. That says a whopping 60% of Americans don't trust the media.
Shit!
My gosh! Is this news?
I wonder why. Is it their abuse of keywords like nonstop? The people start like puking them out, and like the idiots in their echo chambers are like, "Oh, insurrection."
A recent poll by Gallup organization shows 33% of Americans have no trust and confidence whatsoever in the media, a percentage that increased by a record-setting 5 points between 2019 and 2020. Another 27% that they have not very much trust in the mass media, and that means newspapers, televisions, whatnot. Only 9% of Americans have a great deal of trust in the media. 31% say they have a fair amount of trust in the media. I don't trust the media at all. Anything that I see in the media,
I would like to see this broken down by age group.
I can provide that for you at some time.
Okay. I mean, I was just curious. I would like to see it broken down by age group, because I really had this funny feeling that like a lot of the older generation have this firm belief that the media would never lie.
I remember I read the report and it was pretty much straight down the middle, except I think the demographic between political affiliation was more leaning toward the conservative than the liberal.
No, it's just, I mean, like, if you, like I tell people all the time, it's like, if you believe everything that you hear from the TV, the cable box, or the I call it the brainwash box, you know, like, just, if you believe it, Orange man bad, that's all they said for 4 years. And people's like, oh, Trump is evil.
Holy crap, that guy's orange. I don't like him.
Why is he so bad? Explain to me. He's like, I've actually asked people who were like, Trump is bad. I was like, okay, tell me why. It was like a mental breakdown. They're like, "Ooh, you're a racist." I'm like, wait, I just asked you why.
Right. All right, let's get to housekeeping. On Monday, we've got a guest, George Bell, who is the vice president of Fieldcraft Survival Incorporated. George is a retired master sergeant who spent 20 years in special operations, serving as a psychological warfare expert. He has served in various positions in the United States Army and has led and conducted counter-proliferation and terrorism operations all over the world. He's going to be on the Monday edition. Next Friday, we have a guest, Carl Whalen and Kayla Coletti. Army veteran Carl Whalen, and who is the co-founder and president from Back the Heroes Rumble, will be on to talk about what they do for our veterans, service members, first responders. Back the Heroes Rumble is recognized in Ohio as a 501c3 nonprofit corporation, and they support law enforcement, first responders, firefighters, and military service men and women, and the veteran community. Their service area covers the entire states of Ohio, Kentucky, and Indiana. Kayla Coletti is the widow of Sergeant Joseph Coletti, and will be joining Carl to share her story about how Back the Heroes Rumble supported her with the loss of her husband. On Thursday, the following Thursday, on 4 February, Jerry Mushtair from the 8th Psychological Operations Group is going to be here, and obviously talking to ICE. 8th PSYOP Group is a truly unique organization providing the PSYOP force with other SOF units, Special Operations Forces, world-class dissemination capabilities. And he's going to be on to talk with ICE. And save the date. We're almost a month out, a little bit less than a month out, but save the date, 18 February. Command Sergeant Major John Foley from USAREC is going to be on with ICE on Sergeant's time. Command Sergeant Major John W. Foley became the senior enlisted leader for the U.S. Army Recruiting Command at Fort Knox, Kentucky on July 23rd of last year. He will be on to tell us about the Army's recruiting mission and how everyone can help be a part of it. Whew. Good show, dude. Really good show.
Oh yeah,
had a really good time. Do you have any parting words? I have a parting.
I got like some words of wisdom I picked up today, and it was kind of like, it made me think a little bit. But it was like, save your money and buy good whiskey. And I thought about it, and I'm still trying to figure it out. But maybe the audience can figure that out for me. But besides that, like,
save your money, buy good whiskey. If you buy good whiskey, you're not saving your money.
Yeah, well, I'm still trying to figure it out. Someone told me to save your money and buy good whiskey. All right, cool. I don't know what it means. Maybe someone from the Appalachians can explain it to me a little bit better than that. But I heard it today.
Save your money, make good whiskey.
Make good whiskey. Maybe no. I heard it was buy good whiskey. Okay. Save your money, then buy good whiskey.
And my quote. I like this. I think I feel this. It says people are always concerned about what kind of planet they're going to leave for our children, but I have to ask, what kind of children are we going to leave for our planet? Be a good parent.
Legit. Beat them kids.
Teach them good stuff. Thanks for joining, everybody. I appreciate it on behalf of me and Pookie, WTF Nation Radio, and U.S. Army WTF Moments. I certainly appreciate the time that you have spent with us. I love every one of you, and we're going to see you next Friday, and our next show is going to be Monday, so we'll see you then. Take care. Shots.
This is WTF Nation Radio.
Wear a condom? We're in Fayetteville. No one gets STDs here.
The voice of U.S. Army, WTF Moments. This is WTF Nation.
But I do it anyway because it's sterile and I like the taste.
WTF Nation Radio. WTF Nation Radio.